The concept of memory can be tough for kids with developmental trauma, simply because they may have a lot of traumatic memories that come up when they don't want them to, or least expect them to, or when they're having triggered reactions. But they also might have good or great memories that aren't honored or feel confusing to them because they are intertwined with these bad memories, or people have told them that their mom or their dad or their caregivers were bad, and so they feel confused about these great memories that they have. Often kids that are in foster care or who have been adopted out of foster care aren't given enough space to honor their memories, their good memories, to help make sense of what their life has been up until this point, and dive into and celebrate the times that were good for them. So in today's episode, what I want to do is talk a little bit about memory, how we can honor a child's memory, and then how we can use a simple activity that we have in the Stable Moments model to honor that memory and also allow the child to have a practical way to revisit that memory over and over again. I'm going to roll that intro and then we'll dive right in.
I'm Rebecca Britt, and this is the Stable Moments podcast. I started this podcast to understand from all perspectives how we can help end the foster care crisis. The overwhelming response was we need to support our local communities. Unwanted, abandoned, orphaned children are the community's responsibility. We must support, guide, love, invest, raise up generations that will nurture, love, and support their own children to end this crisis. So the purpose of this podcast is to build an army of people that are interested and willing to take responsibility of our foster youth and who are supportive of foster and adoptive families. This is the on-ramp for people who want to get involved but might not know where to start. I want this to be a place where community members feel like they can make a difference, where they feel good enough to make that difference, and believe that they can be a big deal in the life of a child. Together, we can end the foster care crisis.
Hello and welcome to the Stable Moments podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Britt, and today we are talking about memory. Now, before we get started, if you haven't seen them yet, we have these meaningful moments cards. If you are looking to spark conversation with kids, but also build life skills, discover more about them, connect with them, and really build that healthy relationship. I know sometimes we have a difficult time starting the conversation or keeping the conversation or knowing what to ask. So we actually have these meaningful moments cards, and they are questions that you can ask, and they are focused on our 6 life skill categories. So healthy relationships, self-worth, independence, self-regulation, and each of the 6 categories has 9 different questions you can ask. There's a bunch of different ways that you can use these cards. I actually did another episode, which I'll link up here, about how we use the Meaningful Moments cards, but you can make sure to snag your deck at stablemoments.com/store. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about memory today. So memory for kids, just think about it. Think about your own childhood. How you think about what your childhood was like. What were the events in your childhood that were really fun? When you think of your childhood, what do you think about? And I know as an adult that it is hard to even remember some of your childhood. And that's even if you had a pretty normal status quo childhood. You pretty much stayed in the same place. You pretty much stayed with the same caregivers. It can be difficult just to track a typical childhood in our memory. Now take a kid that has been removed from their caregivers and maybe put in multiple homes, maybe put in multiple school systems, and now being able to track their childhood and different milestones and different events that were meaningful and impactful to them can really get blurry. And then put that on top of a brain that hasn't fully developed because of abuse, neglect, or abandonment, and you have a brain that can't grasp or categorize memories properly. And then what we do is we make assumptions that everybody has a home and has parents, and this is it's okay. But when we're out in public and we see a kid or we're interacting with a kid, it is very normal for us to be like, oh, what'd you do for, Thanksgiving? Or what did you do for Christmas last year? Or what do you guys usually do on your summer breaks? And if the kid has not even had like a typical summer break because of how many homes they've been through and how different their summer breaks have looked, like they don't have a consistent year over year comparison to be able to say what's normal for them, inherently that question alone makes them think that they are not normal. It also makes them grasp for a memory that isn't there. Okay, so we do this, like they live in a world where they know that their unstable lifestyle is different. Okay, and we also don't spend enough time honoring their memories. A lot of times when we work with kids and we do know their history, we don't want to talk about their memories. We're afraid to trigger them. We don't want to say, oh, like, tell me about your mom, because we're like, oh, that might be a rough subject. Or tell me about your dad, or tell me about something that you used to like doing, or tell me about... We don't want to open that can of worms because we're afraid that their trauma might come out, that we might trigger them. And we also assume that they probably didn't have any good memories because their house was just obviously neglectful and abusive or whatever, and they had to be removed from that. So they probably don't have any good memories. So we make a whole bunch of assumptions. And the truth is, kids have memories and they may have good memories. They may even have a good memory about this one foster sibling that was in this one placement that they only saw for 1 week, but they were scared because they had been removed from their home or they had been removed from yet another placement. And now they're in this foster home and there's a kid there that receives them and welcomes them in and gives them some extra clothes and teaches them the ropes about this house and stays up giggling with them or whatever. And that kid, even though was only part of their life for that 1 week while they were there, made a profound impact, and they remember that. They might even say for years to come that that's my best friend, because it was the first friend to really show them love. And we may never give the child an opportunity to talk about that memory, to talk about that friend, to honor how important that was to them. We may never give them that opportunity if we don't want to ask them about meaningful moments in their life. So what I want to introduce to you is in the Stable Moments program, when people get certified to launch a Stable Moments location, they get a whole packet of activities that mentors can do, trauma-informed activities, right? And one of those activities is the Memory Rock activity. So we're just going to go through this, and I want to show you how you can honor a child's memory. But more importantly, I want to show you like the depths of this and why it's so important, because so many of our activities seem super simple. You're like, okay, yep, grab a rock, paint a rock, cool. The kid, it's so much bigger than that. The fact that you are acknowledging a memory that a child may not have felt safe to have. And I'm thinking about a kid that I worked with that around Christmas time, we wanted to make it really special for him, right? So we went out and we figured out cash to be able to buy him a bunch of toys, and we just wanted to make his Christmas really special because he had never had a Christmas, right? Santa never came to his house, and we were like, oh, that's so sad, okay? So we did this whole thing where we got him toys and we made what we thought would be the best Christmas ever, and he was receptive, but you could tell he was kind of down. And when we asked, what's up, buddy? What would you have rather done today? And he said he wanted to go to McDonald's. And we were like, okay, you can go to McDonald's, but you can go to McDonald's every day. It's not that special, right? Is what we thought. And we found out that that is what him and his mom did. That on Christmas Eve, or around Christmas time, they would go to McDonald's and order whatever they wanted off the menu. And that was like kind of their big outing. That's how they celebrated the holiday. And it was quality time with his mom that he didn't typically get. And he missed that. He missed that tradition with his mom. And that meant so much to him. Like, yeah, we can try to say, oh my gosh, Christmas should be so much more than that. But that's all he wanted. And like, I wish we would have asked and would have known better than to make it something that we thought was special. Okay. And that's because we didn't give him a safe space, probably, to say that that was special to him. He also, I'm sure, felt judgment that that wasn't special. Well, your mom should have done more than that. You should have had presents. Santa should have come to your house. You don't just go to McDonald's. You can do that any day, okay? So those are all things that he starts to realize. The thing that you think is special, the thing that you think was meaningful to you, that made you just love that moment with your mom, that's stupid. I mean, that's really what we're saying when we say like, oh, like that shouldn't be that. You should have gotten more. It's like, well, that's what I got and it was enough. In fact, it filled my cup so much and I wish I could continue to do that. So we have a way of diminishing what is special to people, diminishing what's special to kids. And in this activity, I want to show you how we can be open to whatever fun, safe, exciting memories that they have. And this is not digging in. This is not like, tell me about a time that you felt special with your mom, right? We're not doing that. We're not therapists. We are just mentors. We're just adults asking a few questions. But in the memory rock game, I'm going to read off this, but I'll put it up on the screen for us too. But the objective of this activity is to build emotional awareness and self-worth by helping participants recall and anchor to positive memories, okay? So this also, if we are helping them recall and anchor, this also helps them build a narrative that they did have some safety in their childhood, right? Because we like to paint things binary. We like to paint things all good or all bad. I had a rough childhood, and generally, other people like to do it, right? You tell people some secrets about your mom, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, your mom. And you're like, no, like, I love my mom. She made some mistakes, but she's a good person. I don't want you to judge her completely, but we are all or nothing, right? So these kids may feel the pressure to say that they didn't have any good memories. They might have been taught that they don't have any good memories. That house was not okay. You were not safe. We are bringing you somewhere you're going to be safe. You deserve more. That wasn't right. And so they're starting to like question themselves on whether or not it wasn't all bad. And am I wrong for liking these little games that we would play once in a while? And sometimes mom was really happy and, so we can paint a picture for kids that kind of shuts down the beautiful parts of their life that they do remember. And what we want to do is stoke that flame. We want them to have those memories. We don't want them to believe that anyone is all good or all bad, or any parts of their life were all good or all bad. So this helps mentees recall and anchor to those positive memories. This is a sensory tool. So Memory Rock actually involves a rock, like a physical rock. And that can be really important because it's a physical thing that you can take with you, that you can touch, that you can continue to remember. It's a sensory item. It's a rock, so it's grounded. You're literally grounding into those memories, okay? And it can offer comfort, connection, and regulation during times that are tough. Okay, so it's actually pretty simple activity. You would need some smooth rocks that you could paint, markers, those paint pens, stickers, whatever glitter, glue, whatever. that a kid would ever want to decorate their rock. And then, a cup of water and some paintbrushes or whatever supplies you would need to be able to use those things. So first, what you're going to do is think about a memory that makes you feel happy, safe, or proud. So you would say this to the mentee. And I say, you should make one too. So you're going to make a rock too. How awkward is it if you're just like, you're going to make a rock because only your memories matter and I'm going to sit over you and watch what you're doing. Do this as parallel play, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going to take my rock too, and you're going to take your rock. Okay, let's think about a memory that makes us feel happy, safe, or proud. We do not need to get crazy, okay? If McDonald's makes somebody feel happy and they want to paint fries on a thing and there's nothing more to it than that, cool. If they want to do a soccer ball because they're proud of how they are at soccer, cool. Again, we are just building self-worth. We're building sense of identity because we are like, these are the things we like. That is fine. It does not need to be any deeper than a memory that makes you feel happy, safe, or proud, okay? So once you've got the memory, you hold it in your heart, okay? So this is an important part. Don't just like immediately go to painting. What does it look like? So like hold it in your heart, take your stone, put it to your heart, close your eyes, and think about like, what does that memory look like? The reason why this is so important is because let's say French fries are what came to their mind when they thought of something that makes them feel happy. But when they hold it to their heart and they think about that, they might immediately think about those times that they went to McDonald's with their mom. So now the memory becomes more than just, yeah, fries are good. No, you love fries for a reason because fries encompassed love in a world that didn't feel super loving all the time. So I'm not saying that you're like, now develop that memory, like chill, stay cool while you do this. But the sitting in the memory really helps it bloom into the essence of like, it's not just French fries, right? It's a memory that's associated with something. It's why you like it. So you're going to hold that rock and hold it to your heart. What does it look like? So this might be like, oh, like this is, do you think of going through the drive-thru or do you think of going into McDonald's and sitting down? Like whatever that's tied to. Or maybe you think of the exact soda you have with it, whatever it is, but it's allowing the image of the memory to bloom. And that's also allowing more positive feelings to arise. What colors or pictures come to mind now that you think of it? Okay, and then like you can ask each other like, okay, do we have it? If you feel comfortable, I'm not making this about you, but if you feel comfortable, you can say what yours was and how it kind of developed. If your kid's old enough, you can say, oh, I thought of this memory that made me feel really proud. And then when I thought stronger about it, I really got the picture that I'm going to put on my rock. You can talk about it or not talk about it. Like you don't need to say, what's your memory? Okay. You can say, all right, we've developed it. You can hold yours in your brain and I'll hold mine in my brain and we'll put them on the rocks, okay? So, and there's no right way to do this. The kid could come right out and say, Malcolm. And you're like, oh, Malcolm. So Malcolm is a good memory for you. Who's Malcolm? And then they might be like, well, he's my best friend, but I haven't seen him in 2 years. Oh, wow. That must be really tough to not see your best friend for 2 years. Do you remember what Malcolm looks like? Like, do you think you could put Malcolm on the rock? Okay, and you talk like that. So if it comes out, it comes out. If you don't think you should talk about it, you don't need to talk about it. Like, this is all about you using your judgment and everything being okay. Okay, so now you're going to take your rock and you decorate it in a way that represents that memory. This could just be like a symbol, like maybe you just do the McDonald's logo. Maybe you actually draw fries. Maybe it's just a color. Maybe it's just yellow and red. Okay, so obviously, however you want to represent it is fine. But it should be something that like sparks that feeling that you felt. So when you held it to your heart and you felt like, I'm proud, or oh, I'm grounded, or oh, I'm happy in that looking at that, whatever you decorate it as, should invoke that feeling. Okay? And then you're going to need to let your rock dry. And when it's dry, it is yours to keep. So you're going to keep yours. Your mentee is going to keep theirs. But you can use this rock. So you can tell your mentee, like, listen, I'm going to hold on to this rock and I'm going to keep it in my pocket. And any time that I'm feeling a little bit stressed out or a little bit worried, I'm going to hold this rock because I want to remember the time that I hit that hole-in-one in golf. Like, I was so proud of myself, and in that moment I was like, woo, this is what life is about. So anytime I'm maybe feeling down or insecure or not sure of myself, I'm gonna look at that rock and remember how awesome I am. Okay, so maybe with a friend, like let's say the kid has that friend Malcolm that they haven't seen in a long time and they want to remember Malcolm. If there are times that you feel alone or lonely, or that people don't understand you in this world, you're going to look at your rock and you're going to remember Malcolm. And Malcolm was there for you and he understood you. And there are people like that, and those people do exist. And you can remember that in those moments, okay? So that's the point, is to have something tangible that can anchor you to some memories that, one, you're allowed to have. Like, you might not even have been able to have those memories before. But two, they can help you and aid you in future situations, right? Our memories are learnings that we can bring forward. It's not true that nobody loves us. It's not true that we suck at things. In fact, we have memories that show that people do love us. We have memories that show that we're really good at some things, okay? So those memories can counteract the opposite negative thoughts and feelings, okay? So then you can have a discussion, right? And you can discuss while you're painting, you can discuss after. Our discussion questions on our activities are simply built because in the beginning, before we had structured activities, mentors wouldn't talk to the kids. Like, they just didn't know what to say, right? So we built in discussion questions so that we can make more out of the activity. So you can say, what memory did you choose for your rock? Why is it special to you? You can ask, would you like me to share my memory? How did it feel to focus on something that made you happy? How did it feel to focus on something that made you proud? Where are you going to keep your memory rock? You know, you might say, I'm going to keep mine in my pocket. And the kid might say, I'm not going to keep mine in my pocket because we all, like, things get lost in the laundry and we all share clothes at my house. So I'm going to keep mine in this special place. That makes it even more special for them, and that they know that they won't lose it. So that's another intricate thing and another choice that they are making to keep this to themselves and choosing what works for them. Like, just because keeping something in our pocket every day works for us doesn't mean that it works for them. So they're getting some of that independence and being able to choose. How might this rock help you during a hard day? Like, how could we use this? And then, do you think that we could look for or make more memory moments in our lives? So maybe this is an activity, and we talk all the time about, like, our activities are not one and done. Our activities are meant to be done over and over and over again. So you could do this activity once a month. You could do this activity however often you wanted to come up with another memory. Another way you could do this activity is by gifting the memory rock. So maybe you had a really fun time with the kid. Maybe you were like, wow, in that moment, you really showed me a lot of empathy. We have a lot of our kids will be super empathetic. I remember this 12-year-old boy that was matched up with like a 70-year-old woman. And I was worried. I was concerned in the beginning matching these two together because I just was like, is a 70-year-old woman going to be able to keep up with the needs of a 12-year-old boy? And the boy like made her a walking stick and was so like, are you okay? Do you need help up the stairs? I mean, was so empathetic. So I could see that mentor saying, I want to make a memory rock, and making a memory rock of something really kind that the mentee did, like putting the walking stick on the memory rock, and then gifting it to the kid and saying, you made me feel really safe in this moment. You made me believe in people, and I want to give this to you as a token of my appreciation, but also a token of how important you are to me and to this world. So the kid may have a teacher, have a caregiver, have a sibling, have a friend that they would like to give something to. And this would be a beautiful way to do that. So you can use it that way as well. So that's the memory rock activity. I hope that was helpful, and I hope that helped you see that it's not just like painting a rock. It's really big for these kids to be able to remember things that were happy in their life, not as we've painted it, as it was all just bad. And it also helps them get a little bit of grounding in what has happened. Oh yeah, I was with this foster family, and then I was with this, like their timeline can really be jumbled up. So allowing them to go back and think about that can help center them a little bit in their timeline. So I hope that was helpful. That's our memory rock activity. If you are ever having like issues with being able to go deeper or wanting to have conversations or spark meaningful conversations with kids, these meaningful moments cards are really helpful, and you'll be developing life skills as you read them. In the Healthy Relationships, we have one that says, how do you like to be treated when you're feeling sad or upset? In the Independence one, we have, what's one goal you'd like to set for yourself this year? In Responsibility, we have, if you could start a business, what would it be? Like, they're just fun questions that you can really get to know somebody with. And I say do these at the beginning of your session, during your connection time, or even during your transition time at the end of your session. So you can grab those at stablomoments.com/store. I thank you so much for being a big deal in the life of a child, and until next time.